when I first started speaking Spanish, I had an affinity for the Dominican accent. And
it's
a lot
sweet.
of the people, it's really
I'm
sweet.
so
Okay?
sorry.
It's supple. Okay? It's supple. All right?
That was an interesting one because Latin American Spanish to me has always been a lot more, it feels a lot more like fun and spicy and exciting. Like genuinely. Like it feels very like,
I held myself back.
it feels very like, and like hips and everything.
Hola todos! Welcome back to another episode of Hermosas Chicas Negras with your hosts, Paula,
Diane,
and Ayo.
your amigas en línea, here to keep you encouraged and accountable on your journey to Spanish conversational fluency.
That's right. So in the last episode, we spoke about resources that we've used to become, on this Spanish learning journey thus far. And now we want to speak about how to become fluent in Spanish on your own, because not everyone has, Spanish family, or even if you do, basically, just like, how do you become fluent on your own? And what is a realistic pathway? Because sometimes we'd be on YouTube seeing these learn Spanish, become fluent in 2 months, 3 months. And sometimes it's just so unattainable. So that's what we want to speak about. So let's dive straight into this conversation. And I want to know, what is even fluency?
That's a good place to start, I think.
Yeah, because let's just tackle this head on. So what even is fluency?
I feel like fluency doesn't have one definition.
Come on.
Even though it kind of does, it doesn't. Because you could be fluent in one area of the language that's important enough to you to actually work. Or you might be fluent in something that then isn't important to you. So if you were like trying to become an academic, or you are an academic and you're trying to be an academic in Spanish, if you could have like normal everyday conversations, but you couldn't explain your academia in Spanish, are you fluent?
Questions.
So I think
that was even triggering for me. I said, wow, oh my goodness.
That's why when we talk about with this podcast conversational fluency, we're very aware that that's a specific type of fluency that we're aspiring to.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think we were really intentional before we came to you guys to make sure that we had specified this is about conversational fluency.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because for us, it's about being able to communicate with other people, speak to other people, and have conversations. You know what I mean? Like, language is about being able to communicate. Whether you're communicating a subject, whether you're communicating about your day, whatever the case may be, for us, learning Spanish is about being able to conversate with other people.
Yes.
So specifying conversational fluency was very, very
The grammar may not always be there. Okay?
As long as you can communicate. If they understand, as far as I'm concerned, you've done fine.
I've been successful.
That's
done fine. Good.
Because you've been able to communicate the concept. Yes. Even if it was doing crank-come to get there, you know, as long as it was understood and you use the words that you know, then as far as I'm concerned, at least, you're fluent, especially at your level. Do you know what I mean? So
absolutely. And I love what both of you just said. To be honest, I don't even necessarily have that much more to add, but it's just understanding what type of fluency we're speaking about. And the reason why I was triggered by what you said, Paula, and this is real life triggering, because if you caught the last episode, it's okay. If you haven't caught it yet, you can go back and watch it after, listen or watch it after this. But I'm currently preparing for a speaking engagement, which is technically me delivering a whole 1 hour workshop, well, probably even more, completamente en español. So it's fully in Spanish. Now, am I fluent to deliver that? Absolutely not. I've been working with a Spanish language coach because there are part of the workshop that I know how to do naturally in English that no puedo hacer en español. Todavía. Perfecto. Gracias, mi hermosas.
That's why the people who are watching on YouTube will see my face. When I said, I can't say it. I literally was like,
thank you. No, you're right.
We have this
You're
thing.
right.
Sorry, what was that?
Thank you. I just caught myself. I can't do it yet. But even like being on this journey, I've been on the journey for maybe like 11 weeks now. It's like there's so much I'm learning. So I'm not fluent yet. See how I caught myself there? Todavía, I'm not fluent to be able to express my story and really connect with it. But I'm working towards that. But conversational fluency, vamos a hablar, por favor. Sí, okay? So yeah, no, I think that's really amazing. Now let's dive into like our various dialects, okay?
Yes.
Because as we're speaking about fluency and what even is this and how we can become fluent, as we've just identified, conversationally fluent, right? Let's talk about our different dialects. So Deanne.
Well, I can start.
You can start.
If you guys notice, within our logo, we have some different like flags.
Some flags.
Yes.
And everything that we do is intentional.
It's intentional. So, no accidents over here.
That's right. That's right. So
I don't know how we went American there.
Okay. You will
As
see.
for me,
I will switch between Spanish,
Yep.
American, and sometimes I'll be very Nigerian as well. It's like it's a bit of variety.
By the way, Paula and Ayo, myself and Paula, we are Nigerian. And where you from, baby
I'm
girl?
Jamaican and Cuban.
Oh, come on! So we got the variety
got the
here.
flavor.
So the Africanness.
That's right.
That's
okay.
Right. And basically,
I
was just about to say because
you do it as well. You do it.
We will be.
It's permeated. It's really just permeated.
We will be some, and it's not Paula and I. Deanne literally will be on a freeway call. Yeah, we'll just hit yay. And we'll be like, and then Deanne will try to act like nothing happened. And then Paula's like, hold on a second, let's try and move on.
She literally, there was one time we were praying. I was like, oh, can you just lead us in prayer? Deanne was like, yay. I said, where's the spirit? Where is the spirit?
What happened? And Paula really was not trying to be on. She was like, can we acknowledge what you just said, please?
Because to me, genuinely, it is so normal. And I didn't even realize that was a thing until you guys had read
That's
out.
so funny.
But I guess it's also just, like I was telling you guys,
you're a
the
language
affinity
person.
for like languages. It's just in me. However, being that, I did say that I'm Cuban. Guys, don't come for me. It is what it is. Okay? But as you guys know, my grandfather was Cuban, but the dialect that I decided to learn was from La República, Dominicana.
Sí.
Oh, con el ritmo, con tu acento, mi amor.
Exactly. The rhythm is there.
Come
the
on,
Caribbean
the
is still very much in the Caribbean, but Cuban Spanish is really, really hard, guys. And I just found myself, when I first started speaking Spanish, I had an affinity for the Dominican accent. And
it's
a lot
sweet.
of the people. It's really
I'm
sweet.
so
okay?
sorry.
It's supple. Okay? It's supple. All right? I really, really loved it. But I didn't actually know when I first started that all of the videos that I was watching were from Dominican people.
Interesting.
So it wasn't until later that I had
like,
been, that's what I wanted to do. Even when I was in Spain, I knew that the dialect that I wanted to study was Dominican. But for yourselves, let us know.
Okay. And we're going to go into some moment, but do you know another thing I think would be really cool for us to say is why dialect is important? Because as you just said that, because someone might be thinking like, okay, cool, why is dialect important? So we can share. But over to you, Paula, you can share.
So for me, it's Spanish, Spain.
Spanish, Spain.
Spain, Spanish. So Spanish spoken in Spain, like literally European
Castellano.
Spanish. European Spanish. And that was an interesting one because Latin American Spanish to me has always been a lot more it feels a lot more like fun and spicy and exciting. Like genuinely. Like it feels very like
I held myself back.
It feels very like and like hips and everything. Whereas like European Spanish felt very much like the UK of Spanish. I'm allowed to say that I'm British. Anyway, but the reason I chose Spanish from Spain was purely for the reason of living in Europe. I felt like it would be a lot easier for me. There was a mixture of that. Travel-wise, I was also supposed to go and live in Madrid. So that was the main initial reason. I remember when I first started, it was like, I'm going to live in Madrid. I want to sound like I live in Madrid. And then even when the Madrid trip didn't happen, I was still like, I want to be able to like easily go to Spain and like understand what's going on and communicate and have people think that I'm from here. So that's part of what it was. And then later on, it was just like almost like, I always say like it's a God thing, but I felt like it was a God thing to continue. That being said though, I absolutely love the Latin American Spanish accents and dialects. So you will often hear me use usted, ustedes more than like vosotros, etc. Because I also do intend to like explore the South American continent. And I also meet quite a few people from different countries there. And there's so many, like, can I just say, there's so many countries in South America that the Spanish there is just stunning.
Same.
I love a bit of Colombian Spanish. Absolutely love it. Love Venezuelan. Like literally there's so many of the countries there that when they speak it, I feel it feels really like, it feels like a hug to me. That's the only way I can explain it. But definitely the dialect I chose was Spain, specifically in Madrid, because obviously there's different accents within. There's different accents within Spain, which I was learning about. But yeah, mine is specifically to live in Madrid.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting? I'm not even gonna lie, as you were talking, I was holding myself back because I'm kind of bad mind, because sometimes I'll be like Spain Spanish, be like gracias.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll be like, so like
it's very
like with a lisp.
Funny thing is, that's one of the first things I picked up. Because I was speaking, weirdly enough, and that should be one of the most difficult things to pick up, but it's one of the first things I picked up. And when I would speak to my colleague who is from Spain, she was like, your accent is really Spanish, like it's really from here. I said, thank you, sis, because I wasn't even exclusively watching just Spanish from Spain. Like it was even Diane that said to me, oh, by the way, you should probably be watching YouTube videos from Spain. Like I was watching like Ricky, I was watching all these like other people.
Shout out to Bilingual Vlogs.
Big fan. I honestly just was like, no, but he sounds nice, so I'm gonna listen to that. And then it was like I watch a lot of like Vogue Spain and stuff like that, so a lot more like Spain focused, but I love a bit of Latin American Spanish, you know.
Come on now.
Inject me veins. I love
it. Speaking of Latin American Spanish, I am en mi mente, in my mind. Soy mexicana. I am Mexican, right? So that's the Spanish that I chose to take part in. And it's really interesting because how I dove into Mexican Spanish, honestly, I can look back and say I feel like it was a God thing. But for me, it was just one of those ones where Mexico, because I was also looking at like different accents that I understood, because for me, like when I'm a visual learner, one of the ways I learn is very visually. So when I was like, at first I started off in Spain Spanish, because that was the Spanish that my partner and I first started learning in 2016. And I was like, gracias, hacer. But what I came to realize is because I'm visual, I was seeing hacer. A-H-T-H-E-R and not hacer. Now, because I'm new to the language, I didn't know to replace the T-H with the C. So for me, it was actually more confusing. And now we need to have a conversation about this in terms of me digging deeper into my learning style and stuff like that. But like, so for me, as time went on, basically, I just started to realize that, man, I like this Latin America something.
It's sweet.
It's sweet, girl. Like, it's very sweet for me. So that's when I just basically got into Mexico, and then I just suddenly really emerged and just like embraced myself in the culture.
Mention the fact that you have a church there as well. That's when Ayo said this to me. True. You actually inspired me. Now I have a Madrid. Well, they know you. Yeah. They don't know me. Yes. They don't know that there's a girl. Yes. They don't know there's a girl in London that's like every Sunday like, ooh.
Fair enough.
But you have family.
That is true. So at the beginning of the pandemic, and I'm going to shout out all my people from Comunidad Olivo y un corazón también. So basically the name of the church, the name of the church is Comunidad Olivo. And at the beginning of the pandemic, 2020, I just basically had this like rising up on me that I just really wanted to find a church in Mexico. Started looking, cut a long story short, found this church on YouTube. And then I said, I felt this thing that, well, now I can refer to it as Holy Spirit. Sorry, Holy Spirit. I felt Holy Spirit was basically saying to me, okay, cool, like join a Connect group. I had been watching them on Instagram, their Instagram lives and stuff like that. Towards the end of the year 2020, basically, I joined a Connect group, or beginning of 2021, joined a Bible study group. And now weekly we just basically do Bible study.
You see, it's
Can
just
you imagine?
They'll be like, I'll close us in prayer in Spanish.
Can you imagine? Like, I just think that's such a wonderful and a really unique experience. I will definitely say that, because you were the first person in all of my years of trying to learn this Spanish. Like, you were the first person who's been able to like show intentionality and initiative to be able to truly immerse yourself
infiltrate
in the culture of the dialect that you're learning. And it's important. The reason why we had brought up the dialects, because when you choose your dialect, it will 110% affect the way in which you learn Spanish, especially if you're doing it on your own.
That's facts.
Especially if you're doing it on your own.
Because you will get confused. I remember like learning a word on Duolingo and then watching Latin American Spanish, because Duolingo often you choose which Spanish you're doing. I'm doing Spanish Spain. Spanish from Spain. And Duolingo, so like, for example, car, un carro. I remember now watching like someone from Latin America and they were like, is it coche?
Otro lado.
Okay, see. So I'm like, so which word am I using now? Which word is used in Spain? So it's so important that you actually do decide on a dialect, not just I'm learning Spain. If you think about it, any other language as well, like there are regional differences in even English.
Absolutely.
Like, I lived in Sheffield and people be saying anything up there. Let me say anything. So like just in the same way, just be aware of like the Spanish will change depending on where you are, even depending on the city as well.
Definitely. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I think dialect is really, really important because you'll find sometimes when I speak, and you guys actually might notice it more so than us, but I have a mix of both Spain Spanish and Dominican Spanish because I moved to Madrid and I lived there for 10 months. So I say, if you are going to learn Spanish, it is important, as much as like when you're first learning, you don't really think about it. I would say listen to different things, get an affinity for things. Like, oh, I like the sound of this, or I'm not really a fan of this dialect of Spanish.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, like it doesn't make a big difference as far as being able to communicate to people. But I notice myself saying things sometimes, it's like, girl, you sound like a true Madrileña right now. Because the words sometimes
what does that mean for people?
Oh, it means, I don't even know how to explain it. It just means someone from Madrid. Essentially. I will use words that are specific to like Spain Spanish, or even like, because I lived in the mountains when I was in Madrid, so I'll say things that are very, very specific. So I would definitely say, when you are learning, especially if you're learning on your own, it is very important to pick a dialect that will work for you.
Absolutely. I love that. And let's transition into the next part of this, so we've spoken about various dialects, so let's talk about our key tips and our approach to, basically, because we've started off saying that, okay, cool, like what is the realistic way to become fluent in this? So I guess I'll kick us off, and I'm literally just going to look at my phone right now because I've got some notes that just dropped on me this morning.
Gems,
okay? And you know when the gems just come out and you just want to say it word for word, they really be gemming, they be shining bright. So the first thing I said was us establishing what our speaking goal is, then pronunciation and speaking out loud. And in that, the question is this, in order, this fluency, this desire to become fluent in this hermosísima lenguaje, I can say that?
Lenguaje, pienso que sí. Porque yo digo idioma.
Sí.
Pero idioma es hermoso idioma.
Hermoso idioma. Okay, see, real life correction.
That's right.
Yeah.
So how would I say, so what was my sentence? I was just trying to say it's a
beautiful language.
I would
este
say
idioma hermosísimo.
Because I want to use, because you know we love our ísimo.
You love it, ísimo.
Ito. Yeah, exactly. Manito, sí.
I would say el idioma hermosísimo.
Okay, el idioma hermosísimo, sí? Okay, perfecto, gracias.
Which is a beautiful language.
Which is a beautiful language, thank you. Exactly. So like, this desire to become fluent in this beautiful language, is it a dream or a goal? Now, that right there, because if it's a dream, oh my goodness, I would love to be fluent in Spanish. Oh my gosh, I would love to do this. But if it's a goal, there are milestones that have been set in place in order to reach that goal.
Speak that word.
A goal is something that is measurable. It's something that, you know, as us being Christian women here, and you don't necessarily have to be Christian to follow this, but for my Christian listeners here, our Christian listeners, the Bible tells us to write the vision down and make it plain. Now, if you're not, you know, Christian, and you know, you don't have the same faith as us, the principle is still the same. It's still there. It's like, what is your goal? And how, like, if somebody was to open up your notebook or look in your dream board, could they see clearly what it is that you're working towards? Have you got accountability? Is it clear to your accountability partner what it is that you're working towards? Difference between a dream and a goal.
That's really
so that was my first thing in terms of my key tip and approach to this. And then just piggyback offing that, it's the fact that we're designed as intelligent beings, and our minds and our brains respond and rise up to a challenge. Now, the reason why that was important for me to say is because more time we can be crippled by challenge. Like learning a whole language. Like my brother, he was saying to me the other day, he was just like, I'm not gonna lie to you, like I low-key feel like we take for granted the fact that you've actually learned a whole language yourself. Like it's like he was just like, when I deep it, like actually wild. And it's true to teach yourself a whole new language. And again, I'm not saying that, you know, put me in, you know, the political field and I will be there flourishing. No, I'll be stuttering and stammering because my conversational fluency has not reached that place yet. You know, put me in another situation, put me in the zoo. I won't know what I'm talking about.
The zoo.
Well, I don't know about animals. Put me in the kitchen. Yeah, maybe so, but put me in some conversational.
She will conversate.
I will conversate. Put me, now as I'm learning, you know, confidence building for girls, auto-esteem, self-esteem. Hey, listen, I got it, you know. But it's just saying that in context to say, like, it's a huge thing. But we're built to live up and, you know, conquer this challenge. And then the second thing I'll say before I wrap up my key tips on this is that we may have the blueprint, aka okay, cool. We know our learning style. We have this course we've signed up to. We've got a grammar book. We're having conversations with people, all of this stuff. But the most important thing is that we have the choice. We need to make it, we choose to make it happen. So we have the blueprint,
really good.
But then we have the choice. Are we going to make it happen? So those are the things I would say in terms of just like my key tips to becoming, you know, fluent on this journey. What would you say? What would you say, Paula?
So I would say consistency is my key tip.
Yes,
that's good.
Doing it every day, basically.
That's good.
I mentioned earlier, maybe in a previous episode to make sure you're up to date, but I mentioned that I'm not really a course person. I'm not really like an educational step-by-step like that. Like I'm just not feeling it. I've done my education. I have got my degree. I'm good. I don't intend to really do that. So I think for me, I knew that I needed something that was a bit more just it slots into my life. So the great thing about Spanish is because it's a conversational, like, well, conversational fluency is what we aspire to. That's every day for me. So I basically just incorporated it into my everyday. So in practical ways, because we're all about being practical. My phone is in Spanish. I do my prayer and devotional in Spanish. My phone is my prayer app, my devotional app is in Spanish. So that's always in Spanish. You know, conversations with my friends. I have a lot of Spanish speaking friends now, especially people that we actually inspired. I don't think you guys know how many people that whenever I talk about being with you both has caused people to be like, oh, I'm picking up Duolingo and I'm gonna. So I know a lot of people that are like learning Spanish. So I have quite a few people that I could, you know, even small things like hola, ¿cómo estás? And stuff like that. So that's great. So that's my everyday little things like the time that I would spend watching YouTube, I would like Deanne was saying, I would be watching like lifestyle content, you know, like what you do in vlogs, that type of thing. Watching that in Spanish, that became my everyday. I love a bit of Netflix, and I'm also quite a variety of what I watch. So I watch like Bollywood, Hollywood, Nollywood, and then on top of it, all of the woods. And so that's why it was very easy for me to just pick up a new show that was in Spanish, and that has been one of the greatest things for me. So my tip would be consistency and add it to your life. Don't make it additional like burden. Make it part of what you were already doing. If you're already going to be cooking, cook with Spanish music on. That's good. Like I listen to a lot of Christian music and of different genres.
There we go.
There's Christian hip hop, that's Spanish. There's worship music, that's Spanish.
There we go.
There's verses, people reading Bible verses in Spanish.
That's good.
This was already my day-to-day that I was doing. I'm just doing it in Spanish now.
That's really good. Some really
Absolutely.
Really good.
And you know what? I'm so sorry. I just remembered, based on what you just said, something that you taught me with your inspirational self, is Spanish is a vehicle. It's not a destination.
Una palabra.
One word, guys.
Honestly, when you broke it down to me like that, it just changed the way I look at it. And sometimes I forget, but we oftentimes are heading towards this destination of fluency, But no, fluency is not the destination. It's a means to be able to do something. So what is it that we are trying to do? And Spanish just happens to be that vehicle. And that was off the point of what reminded me is what you just said about doing what you already do in English. En español, literal, or any language for that matter. But of course, this is about Spanish predominantly. So I just wanted to piggyback off that and then say that before you went on.
That's really, really good. Just to approach like the real beginners, because I think a lot of the people who do follow us, and even people that we've spoken to in our own lives who are learning Spanish, they look at it as this big lofty thing, like, oh my gosh, you're just fluent in this language, like I would really like to learn it, but I don't know, like it's a lot and da. But for those who are beginners, I would say after you've established your goal, because that is the first thing, I would say for those who are looking to be conversationally fluent is to learn some basic conversations, get some basic vocabulary in, and then open your mouth.
Yeah.
No, do you know why she's laughing? Because I tell her this all the time. You have to open your mouth.
Yeah,
and do you know what though? I say this, and when I say it to you, it's because from my own experience, I didn't speak Spanish for a year into learning it. I used to have lessons with my tutor and refuse to speak Spanish.
So I paying for the lesson.
I would pay happily for the lesson, yeah, and would speak English the entire lesson. She would be the one that was speaking Spanish, and I'd be responding in English. So you have to overcome the barrier of confidence from the jump. So learn the basic conversations if it is your goal to be conversationally fluent. Practice things that you're interested in, that you're going to be talking to people about, and just start. Literally just start, because as we have said in previous episodes, a lot of people are very receptive to you learning and speaking their language to them. So I would just say learn the basics first, get some basic vocab, conversation starters and responses down, and then just start speaking, man. Just start speaking, because I think a lot of pride for like just I've done this, do you know what I mean? I was able to actually speak to somebody in Spanish. It gives you a lot of confidence and a lot of joy to know that you've overcome even that small milestone.
Absolutely.
So put things in your path that will allow you to do so, and the first thing is speaking.
Absolutely.
Set yourself up for success.
Yes.
And that's one way to do that.
Yeah. 100%.
Speaking is a big one.
100%.
When I tell you, I am the poster child of I don't want to speak, but it's so important. Just open your mouth, because like, why not start now? You know, tomorrow will come and you could have started yesterday. So you might as well start now. Just open your mouth and say what you want to say, or 100%. What you can say.
On that point, sorry.
No, go.
Just on that point, I was going to say, for yourself and for myself, because I had the same experience. But you're good because you're coming out of it. Me, I was there for years doing the same rubbish. But for us, that was one of our hashtag language learning struggles.
Come on.
And this is something that we wanted to pose to you guys, because on learning Spanish and being realistic about the process of learning Spanish, there will be struggles.
Yes.
There will 110% be struggles. And that is something that we wanted to be very transparent about.
Yes.
And even though you're watching us or you're listening to us and we're speaking and you're hearing the Spanish just in here 1 minute.
And it's sweet, innit?
English 1 minute, you know. There are still very much struggles, even within this episode, of like, actually, how do you say that?
Honestly, and I love the fact that was a live. We weren't trying to cut it out and edit it. No, like, this is the real life.
100%.
It's a lot of como se dice.
100%.
Como se dice.
Every minute.
Which is how do you say?
How do you say? Honestly,
every minute. I would say for myself at the moment, one of my hashtag language learning struggles has been motivation.
Has speak on
definitely been motivation. I think because speaking Spanish is like a lifelong goal for me, and if you caught our first episode, if not, definitely go back and watch
100%.
I had spoken about my goal of having bilingual children, and that genuinely, it's so funny because I know that I say it right, but I have seen it. I've seen it.
That's good.
And for me, because there is that, well, it's like, since you're not married yet.
Yes.
The kids are not here.
Yes.
So that motivation, this is it's the motivation of like, okay, like, Deanne, as much as that may not be your present right now, it takes your present right now to develop that future.
Did you guys hear that? I'm so sorry.
Sorry, the writer in her just
reloaded.
Wheel it up. DJ selector, wheel it up.
No, for real. It may not be your present right now, but it takes your present right now to make that your future.
Man, that was good.
She's available for bookings.
She is. You can catch her. What's the website? Sorry, www.
We're not available right now, but if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know when I am. Okay?
Come on. At the time of recording this episode, but soon come.
Yeah. That's amazing. So for Ayo, what would you say your hashtag language learning struggle is right now?
Woo, my hashtag learning
Speaking English is her hashtag language learning struggle.
That's so bad.
Sis said la.
Stop. Okay. So
that's so funny.
My hashtag language learning struggle is focusing on where I want to be so much so that it can rob me of the joy of where I am.
Really good.
So as I've mentioned on this episode and previous episodes, I am currently, and by the way, I keep on letting you know that I'm preparing for this speaking engagement because as I'm saying it to you, I'm holding myself accountable too, right? So
that's why you need to join the community because you'll see on Instagram, like as she prepares.
Absolutely. So generally speaking, there's A1, A2, B2, B1, B2, C1, C2. So I'm currently upper level intermediate, right? Now, there are some things that I want to say in the advanced stage. Now, I can read Spanish fluently. I can understand Spanish a lot more than I have the vocabulary to speak. But because I'm so like, oh my goodness, I want to get to that, point where I can just dream in Spanish and just, do everything at the advanced level, it robs me of the fact that you have been learning since 2016 and baby, you are doing well. Right. And that would be my biggest language struggle, focusing on so much on where I want to be that it can rob me of the joy of where I am now.
That's really good.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Really, really good. How about you, Paula?
My language learning struggle is what we've kind of talked about in this episode. Speaking. I generally have a phobia of speaking out loud. In Spanish specifically, but I'm also learning Igbo at the same time. I don't know if I had mentioned that.
You haven't.
No, you haven't.
I'm Igbo. I'm an Igbo woman, which is a tribe.
What do I say?
Kwenu. Which is a tribe in Nigeria and or an indigenous group in Nigeria. And I wasn't taught Igbo as a child, so I've been self-teaching and also doing lessons in Igbo. At the same time, which is very easy to do, very possible to do because Igbo is so different from Spanish. But what I'm trying to say is this is a language thing. It's not just Spanish. Like I have a phobia in Igbo. I have a phobia in Spanish. I also do, even though I am a speaker, I have to be very confident in the topic I'm speaking in. Because I also have the phobia of speaking. It's so funny. The thing that I love to do also gives me major anxiety. Working on it, God is really gracious because it constantly reminds me that it's Him at work in me. And so this does translate in my Spanish learning where, like Diane said, for months, I just refused to speak. And even you just said it earlier where you actually do tend to know more than you can speak.
You do.
Because I watch so much and I listen to so much, I know so many words.
Absolutely.
I think Duolingo was telling me the other day that I know over thousands of words. And I was like, are you sure, B?
Yeah.
Is that me? Is someone else using my account?
Segura? De verdad?
De verdad, for real. Like, is that the truth? I genuinely just didn't believe that. But again, Latino Life, the festival that we went to, really revealed that to me where I understand people's conversations. Like I do. I'll be on the bus and the train and I hear people speaking in Spanish. I know what they're saying. And I think I've told you guys this. I have this weird like dream that I want to happen where one day some people are speaking Spanish and they look over at me and they're like talking bad about me and they don't, or they're talking good about me, it can be positive. And I actually know what they're saying. And I just turn, I'm like, hola. Yo te entiendo. Like literally, I'll tell them and they'll be like, te entiendo is I understand you. And they'll be like, that's what I want to happen. And I actually do understand a lot. But to speak, to open my mouth was such a big fear. I'm not saying that I have overcome that struggle yet. It's definitely a day-to-day thing. But just starting and just like opening my mouth has helped. Also having friends that are really encouraging. And that I don't feel like judged when they do correct me. Because that's another thing. Part of my fear is I feel like when people do correct me, I'm like, no, but who told you to correct me? Did I call your name? Did you bond me?
That's that real African.
That's what Nigerian people say. Like, I'm like, but getting over that, like, oh, they're judging me by correcting me. Now it's no, these are my friends. They want me to be able to speak Spanish well and not to be like saying whatever. And so a lot of the time now I'll be like, no, is this correct? Like, this is how you would say this. So getting over that struggle or, being in it and overcoming it has been community, which is a solution for everything.
Come on.
And then just like starting, just opening my mouth,
Absolutely.
Abre la boca, okay?
Say, open.
La boca.
And just before we come to you and just before we start to wrap up, Diane, it's like what I realized is many of us understand more than we can speak.
Yes.
And it's because understanding, listening, and being able to actually speak, they're two different skills. And it does take more effort on our part to be able to speak and have the confidence to it, because we can know, because sometimes I'll be in my room and I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm speaking. When I'm in Bible study now, I'm like, okay, yo lo tengo, Anabel, pues, no sé si, and it's like all of a sudden I get a bit shy, and it's just like, okay, cool, because they're two different skills. So that's just to the person watching and listening that if you do feel like, hey, but I understand, but I'm struggling to speak, that's okay. Be encouraged, because you know we're on this journey together. So I think we should come to a wrap up now. This episode, what were you gonna say?
No, just kind of as in wrapping up. To your point, actually, this is a great segue into the next episode. A lot of the issue that we have when it comes to speaking and confidence is really just the fear of failure.
Come on, speak on it.
It is the fear of failure. And in the next episode, we are going to be talking about overcoming failure.
Come on.
Because it's a very, very big part, I think, that stops people from learning or demotivates people.
Yeah, that's good.
Or from continuing. Because
Yes.
sometimes we
Yes.
start.
That's true.
How many people, January the 1st, you start learning Spanish as a skill, and I'm going to do it this year.
That's true.
By February, you stop.
That's true.
100%.
Or like the gym membership too. Yeah.
Girl. She's speaking a word that hits too close to her.
That was a bit much.
fine,
You
it's
didn't need to
fine,
go
it's
that
fine,
far.
it's fine, it's fine, it's fine,
really? Oh, okay.
No, but yeah, fear of failure is a really, really big thing. And I think it's definitely something that I know that a lot of you guys who are watching and listening would resonate with. So we have to catch you in the next episode. But before you go, I need you to make sure that you leave us a review.
Okay.
Absolutely.
If you're watching us on YouTube, I need you to leave a good old comment.
Absolutely.
Okay. And make sure you're following us on all of our socials, which are Instagram and Facebook at Hermosas Chicas Negras. Okay?
Absolutely. And you know what? Just before we say ciao, because I think we're making this like a really tradition thing, right? One key takeaway that you're taking away from this. Rapiditititito, por favor.
Okay.
Like one takeaway that you're taking away from this episode.
Community is the answer to most of your language learning struggles.
Come on.
Abre la boca is mine.
Open your mouth.
Open your mouth.
And mine is Spanish is not the destination. It is the vehicle.
vehicle.
Okay.
Come
on.
Una
Come
palabra.
on.
We are looking forward to catching you in the next episode. But for now, ciao.